that the current arrangement in terms of the South African labor law, the collective bargaining arrangement, is a socialist conspiracy against small business. It's favoring big business and consequently big trade unions.
Labour relations in South Africa are notoriously militant and often violent. How can we improve the relationship between organised labour and business? Well, one person who has an alternative approach is Gerhard Papenfus. He is with the National Employers Association of South Africa. Gerhard Papenfus, welcome to the CRA channel. We're recording on Friday, the 15th of October, and this week the NUMSA strike has been raging. There's been a number of incidents of violence and intimidation associated with this industrial action. And the way that this is portrayed in the media is that this is a dispute over wages, which it is. But it seems that there's more to it than that. What are your reflections on this recent strike, and what does it tell us about labor relations more broadly in South Africa?
Yeah, I think there are two issues. The one is, of course, the wages. And it's easy for everybody to understand. When you talk percentages, people understand it, and workers understand that. But there's more to this. CIFSA wants to push NEASA back to a dispensation which existed prior to 2011, where big business in Gauteng, mainly in Gauteng, made wage arrangements and then extended those arrangements to businesses, and mainly small businesses, all businesses, but that severely affected the small businesses throughout South Africa. Now, we stopped that arrangement in 2011, and this is not sitting well with NUMSA, and they are trying to push us back. So you will hear my name called out on many occasions that I'm the reason for the current strike. But this is an ideological issue. It goes down to the root of how business is conducted, the freedom of choice, the freedom of a business to determine its own affairs and pay its workers according to its own capacity. That is the gist of the strike. And the employers are divided on the issue. There's NEASA on the one hand. We are supported by two other smaller organizations, and there's the Federation CIFSA on the other hand. CIFSA represents mainly big business, employing more employees than what our members do. We represent a substantially larger number of employers, but they employ less workers. But this is the big issue. This is not only an issue about wages. NUMSA is trying to push our employees back to the previous dispensation.
Enjoying this analysis? Click here to sign up for our 30-day free trial for more content from the CIA.
So Gerhard, last week on the show, we had Jonathan Katzenellenbogen commenting on the NUMSA strike. And one of the points that he made was that the Labour Relations Act extends collective bargaining agreements to non-parties, which has a very negative impact, particularly on smaller business owners. They have to now carry these higher labour costs. But he also mentioned that NEASA has been able to end this practice in the steel sector, which seems to be a very significant development. Could you tell us how that came about and what is the importance of that?
We in NEASA in 2011 challenged the constitutional dispensation in the bargaining council. Up until then, there was an entirely unconstitutional arrangement, and that gave the CIFSA, the federation and the employers, enabled them to make deals and extend it through the facilitation of the Minister of Labour to non-parties, which implied big business, mainly in Gauteng and a little bit in Western Cape and KZN, to be engaged in making arrangements which destroyed many small businesses. That arrangement gave course to the biggest deindustrialization drive in any industry in South Africa. But we won that case and set aside, first of all, we won the arbitration, and that caused the entire rearrangement of the setup within the bargaining council. And with that in our hand, we took on the extension of the agreement by the minister. We set that aside for a 3-year period, 2011, 2014. And we did it again in respect of the extension for 2014 to 2017. And since then, they haven't tried it. We spent millions, approximately 30 million rand, just taking on that dispensation. So what is happening now? We've freed the industry. I think we've saved, I might be too productive to suggest that we've saved hundreds of thousands of jobs, but I think we've at least saved tens of thousands of jobs by allowing business to decide for themselves what wages they want to pay. And this is still our approach. The difference between us and CIFSA in this current negotiation, CIFSA wants a one-size-fits-all dispensation where they agreed on a wage and then extend that wage to all business, big and small. We've made a proposal to NUMSA, and I give you the specifics of that. We said, we'll offer you a 4.28%, that's CPI, which if you agree to that, we'll put that forward to our members as a recommendation for an increase. They say it's a ridiculous arrangement. We say, no, it's not. We can only go as far as making a recommendation. I cannot sit in Joburg, and because I can afford something, I can compel a small business in Kakamas to comply. I don't know what his circumstances is. Now, this is not sitting well with NUMSA. Of course, they want a one-size-fits-all dispensation, and they're blaming me in particular for causing this current chaos, the violence. They want to push us back into that dispensation, the previous dispensation, and we're not going to go there. So, but unfortunately, we're paying a price for that. But interesting, CIFSA was playing the NUMSA game. Well, they are severely hit by the strike as well. So we're all suffering.
So Gerhard, that's very encouraging in terms of the steel sector, but what about other sectors that might also be suffering under this burden of the extension of collective bargaining agreements to non-parties? Could we see similar changes in other sectors?
Yes, potentially, but it all depends on many factors. The one is the constitutional arrangements within that sectors, the bargaining council of each bargaining council sector as a constitution. It depends on what it looks like. And then the makeup of the organizations involved in the council. If you have to be very well organized to take on existing interests, because there's a huge amount of interest. If you're theoretically, if you have one business employing 1,000 employees, and you have 1,000 other businesses, one man shows each employing each employee, that one business can make an arrangement with the union and put the rest of the people out of business. So there are interests at stake here. Very hard to organize against this dispensation. If you have 10 businesses, each employing 1,000 employees, that's 10,000, because, and I must just explain this, in terms of Section 32 of the Labour Relations Act, not the number of businesses is counted, but the number of people employed by those businesses. So that's, if you have 10 businesses, each employing 1,000 employees, you have 10,000 employees. To counter that by small business, you need 500 SMMEs, each employing 20 employees, to simply just match that. Now, it's very easy if you want to recruit 10 big businesses in Gauteng, that's very easy. To recruit 500 SMMEs, that's extremely difficult. So this is the battle, and I believe that the current arrangement in terms of the South African labor law, the collective bargaining arrangement, is a socialist conspiracy against small business. It's favoring big business and consequently big trade unions. And trade unions are hanging on to this arrangement for dear life. And we're not going to change it because they will never agree to that in the current parliamentary dispensation.
Gerhard Papenfus, thank you very much for joining us on the CRA channel. I think this is a very telling example of the corporatist compact that exists in South Africa that benefits big business and organized labor at the expense of small business owners and also the many millions of jobless people in South Africa. My name is David Ansara. This is the CRA. Until next time, take care.